Hi, everybody. It is episode 537 of PodQuest.
Hey.
It is Tuesday, November 26th, 2027. I am Chris. With me is Druten
Hello.
and Walnut.
Yeah, I'm here.
It's almost Thanksgiving in the U.S.
Yes.
It happened like a month ago in Canada.
Yep.
I don't think anywhere else in the world celebrates it.
Not as far as I know.
They probably celebrate something similar, but not specifically Thanksgiving itself. But yeah, Thanksgiving is an American and North American holiday because it's about the Pilgrims and the Indians.
Well, I feel like Canadian Thanksgiving is something different.
I legitimately don't know why they do, like, what their reasoning for Canadian Thanksgiving is.
Let's see. Let's collapse that. Let's see. Thanksgiving or Canadian Thanksgiving Day, annual Canadian holiday held on the second Monday in October. Outside the country, it may be referred to as Canadian Thanksgiving to distinguish itself from American holiday, the same name. So it is different. Thanksgiving is a statutory holiday in most of Canada, an optional holiday in Atlantic provinces of Prince Edward Island. Companies regulated by... Okay, I don't care about that. It's a liturgical festival. Thanksgiving corresponds to the British and continental European harvest festival, with churches decorated with cornucopias, pumpkin. So it's a harvest fest.
Okay, I mean, that makes sense, it being the first week of October.
Mm-hmm.
They're giving thanks for a bountiful harvest.
Yeah.
Whereas the Americans are giving thanks for stealing a country from the Indians.
Yeah, it's an awkward holiday.
Yeah.
Makes no sense. Well, I mean, I guess it made sense back then. It doesn't make sense nowadays.
I mean, it didn't really even make sense back then. Like, it's a weird thing to have celebrated. We stole things and then told stories like we didn't.
Yeah.
Though I guess that is the American way.
It is.
But hey, now we get turkey and sides. Everyone likes sides.
I mean, I'm sure I've talked about this maybe on this podcast, but others. I'm weird when it comes to Thanksgiving. I don't like most normal Thanksgiving foods.
Of course you don't, because you're the worst.
I don't like sweet potatoes. I don't like them. Texturally, they just don't intrigue me. I do not do, like, I've never liked green bean casserole or anything like that, which is like a generic normal Thanksgiving thing. I also have never had cranberry sauce prior to last year.
Why?
Never liked the look of it.
You don't like the look of can?
I don't know. No, I don't. I don't like the look of can.
So when you had it last year, was it canned cranberry sauce or like homemade cranberry sauce?
It was canned, but it was the non-gelatinous can.
Well, then it wasn't good cranberry sauce then.
You have the two different, because you have the one that when you pop it out, it just forms in the can, and you slice it, and then you have the one that actually like goops out of the can.
You have the good one, and then the other one is what you're saying.
I think I had the goopy one. I don't remember. I don't know. Cranberries are also just not really a big flavor for me. I don't really care for it.
No, that one I actually agree with. Like, I don't really like cranberry sauce. I like cranberry juice though.
I also don't like stuffing.
We went over this like a week ago.
Yeah, never have, never will. Don't like stuffing.
So basically, you're the worst American.
No.
You don't like any of the traditional American foods served at Thanksgiving, the most American holiday.
Was stuffing a traditional food when Thanksgiving started?
Yes.
I would love to see the original Thanksgiving's feast. It was like turkey and corn, probably.
It's called maize.
I don't know. I don't remember. I'm bad at history.
Then why are you arguing with people about stuffing?
I'm just asking. I'm asking the questions.
Also, what about sweet potatoes don't you like? That they're delicious?
No, the only kind of sweet potato I like are sweet potato fries, and even then I don't really like them that much, but I'll have them on occasion, especially when I'm trying to pretend to be healthier. The thing is, especially between like cranberry sauce and sweet potatoes, I don't really combine sweet and savory when it comes to dinner. The idea of sweet and savory together in one single meal just doesn't really meld with me. Like, don't get me wrong, I love sweet corn, but that's like a savory sweet.
No, it's
Whereas
not.
like
it's sweet.
No, it's different though, because like I love the flavor of corn in general. Like, I like corn, so sweet and otherwise, I really like corn. But like the way my mom makes sweet potatoes, it's potatoes in brown sugar. Like, that's it. And it's just like, to me, that doesn't look appealing. Texturally, it doesn't seem appealing. And
She
then
doesn't cover it with toasted marshmallow.
I don't get it, but that's also why I don't like cheesecake, because the idea of like cheese and cream cheese, a savory thing mixed with like the sweetness of sugar and all that, it's just like, and then it's a texture thing, and just don't like it.
I mean the texture, sure, but like cheesecake doesn't taste like cream cheese anymore.
I know, but it's the idea of knowing where your food comes from. Like, you
Do you
don't
like
want to know.
cannolis?
I do like cannolis. That's made with mascarpone.
Not always.
No, it's actually
Ricotta.
all ricotta. It's almost always ricotta.
I mean, I haven't had a cannoli in forever. I've only had one real cannoli in my life, and by real I mean like from an Italian restaurant. All the rest have always been like pre-made, pre-packaged.
Yeah, it's usually ricotta and powdered sugar.
Mm-hmm.
But I like cannolis. But I like the crunch of the cannoli cookie. I don't know what you call that thing.
Cannoli shell.
Shell, yeah. I like the shell. I like the flavor of the shell more so than the innards.
Man, talk about bad food take.
No, I just look. There's just it's a texture thing.
How do you feel about sweet potato pie?
That's gross. I also don't like pumpkin pie either.
How have you survived to be 37?
I love apple pie.
The worst pie.
I love apple
I don't know
pie.
about that.
Honestly,
apple pie is still good, but it is the bottom of the pie chart.
Any fruit pie. I will take any fruit pie.
Pumpkin's a fruit.
Pumpkin's a vegetable. Pumpkin's a gourd. So vegetables aren't real. Pumpkin is a gourd. It is. It's a squash. So that's not technical. I don't think that's technically.
It's got seeds inside. I think that makes it a fruit, doesn't it?
But they're not. You can eat the seeds after you bake them, but they're not seeds that you generally eat raw. Because that's the definition of a fruit, is like seeds that you eat or something like that. I don't really 100% remember, but the pumpkins are not a fruit.
Yes, they are. They are a berry, even.
Pumpkins are berries. Would that make all squashes berries?
I don't know.
Actually, I think pumpkins are actually, like, I think Drew's right. I think pumpkins, like, count for something else, but, like, a squash is still a gourd.
That's weird. That's weird.
Yeah. Things that grow are strange.
Yeah. Like I said, vegetables are fake. They do not actually exist.
So then they're all fruits. So they're all sweet.
No, the thing about vegetable is it is a general term for everything under that template. But if somebody were to ask you, like, what is said vegetable, you would turn around and be like, well, that is, like, for instance, lettuce is not a vegetable. It is a leaf. It's a leafy green. Generally, colloquially, it's a vegetable.
I don't know that I've ever called lettuce a vegetable.
Because it's not, but it was the only thing I can think of. But like, even I know, like, string beans, they're beans. They're not vegetables. Like, vegetables are fake.
It's in the name.
I can't remember, what was that? Was that in? I think that was the Smarty Pants Society on Dropout. Great show. I hope they bring that back. I don't know if you watched it, Drew.
I watched some of them.
Yeah, I loved that show. I slept on that. I slept on that and VIP for the longest time.
VIP I have not watched yet.
It's great. It's great. I think you specifically would love it because I feel like you have like a little bit of a more joy for like some of that little occasional awkward comedy and awkward, like, it tends to have some like awkward silences and awkward funnies. Mm-hmm. And like, I feel like that's because I don't know why, but when I think Arrested Development, I think that. Yeah. Even though I've never really watched Arrested Development.
Arrested Development's so good. It is the best comedy show of the last 30 years.
But I think
not even fucking close.
I think you would enjoy VIP. And they just started season 2.
Well, would you guys like to get started?
Yeah,
sure.
Let's go.
What's on the agenda then?
Did you say what today was? I wasn't paying attention.
I did. That's how I open the show every time. That's how we got talking about Thanksgiving.
I don't listen to you. On the schedule today, we all watched Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. Movie from, what was it, 1987 or something like that?
Yep.
I played a game called Liar's Bar. It's early access on Steam right now. And Cobb, you played a game called Minishoot Adventures. Pretty low key week.
Yes, it has been. What did you guys think of Planes, Trains, and Automobiles?
I'll be honest. Yesterday was shitty, and then I was double distracted while watching it. So I kind of remember basically nothing about it. It was fine.
I would say the same. It was fine.
I
I
enjoyed
don't.
it, but it's definitely aged.
Yeah, it's definitely aged. I don't think it. I don't even think like I tried to put myself in the mindset of somebody from the late '80s, early '90s watching this movie, and I don't think it was even comedic gold back then. This is to me, it honestly feels like this is a movie that was made for adults, but also set up to be for everyone with some of the antics that go on. So, like, adults can bring their kids, but
I
this
don't
is
know,
an
man. There
adult
was
movie.
some bad language in this movie.
Bad language is bad language. Like, that doesn't matter. I mean, back in the 80s and 90s, maybe people cared a little bit more about that. But, like, there's no, like, real sexual themes or no, like, grotesque gore or anything like that. It's just it's a buddy comedy with two guys that just throughout the movie don't get along and then find out they get along and they have a lot in common. Kind of,
Yeah.
sort of.
Yeah,
Not
I think part of it is also like that is a trope that has kind of been done a lot since then.
Yeah.
So in 1987, it was probably a little bit more original,
Mhm.
but in 2024, it's just no. Like we've seen that trope in TV, in movies, like kind of everywhere.
Yeah. Pretty sure. Hold on, I gotta look it up. There is a film from 2010 called Due Date. It's
Yeah,
Robert
it's
Downey
basically
Jr.
that.
and
Yeah.
yeah, it's Robert Downey Jr. and Zach Galifianakis. They get Robert Downey Jr. is trying to get to see his child's birth, and
Yeah, it is almost exactly the same movie.
yeah. And, like, the whole time I'm like, I wonder if we could do like some sort of theme behind remakes that aren't remakes, and be like Due Date being one of them, something like that, like a movie that like is basically another movie but not.
Yeah, like that happens all the time too. Like Hollywood only has so many ideas, and they've used them all up.
Yeah.
I think this movie stands on the stars though. Like Steve Martin and John Candy are just they're funny. So
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
seeing them act it like off of each other, like the bits that were supposed to be funny were still funny. Just it's dated not in like an offensive way. Like it's not like they were doing stuff where you're just like, oh god, like how did they
Yeah.
get away with this? It's not like
Right.
a mid 2000s movie.
Yeah, I mean, you did have a little bit of the gay panic at the first night in the hotel room, but other than that, which I mean, also, it's funny. It's funny, especially
Yeah.
back then.
Yeah.
And that was the
funny.
thing. Like that wasn't like offensive though
No.
either. Like that was definitely like I feel like any two people, regardless of like gender. Well, I guess I should say like two people of the same gender that don't know each other, especially waking up like that, are going to be freaked out.
Yeah.
Like
One thing, like, I wanted to like this movie. I really wanted to, and I'm not saying I don't like it, but I'm just like, it's a movie that like I don't think I'll ever seek to watch again.
Agreed.
Because I do think the casting is good because it's two guys, and then you get friggin' Kevin Bacon, you get friggin' Ben Stein. I can't think of any other names.
there
of
really
guest
were so
stars.
many just like little like that first one with Kevin Bacon. I'm just like, that is Kevin Bacon.
I thought he was going to come back throughout the whole movie. I thought he was going to be like the basically the antagonist of the movie kind of thing. Like he was going to always be like, and not on purpose, like the accidental antagonist where he's always one step ahead of Steve Martin the entire time. Like I thought he was going to be a recurring character. Like
No,
just
it doesn't
no.
have a single line. Just gets in a cab and leaves.
yeah.
And there were even other ones like people whose names I don't know, but are like they have been in movies, especially like 80s and 90s movies. Like the guy on the plane that was next to Steve Martin with like the yellowed mustache from smoking. That guy had been on tons of stuff. Just couldn't tell you what, but I've seen that man a million times. And the woman at the car rental place.
Yeah.
Also seen her a million times. One of his sons was Matthew Lawrence from like Boy Meets World and Mrs. Doubtfire. Yeah, like
Michael McKean, who's in like all the
oh yeah,
this is Spinal Tap, and why am I blanking on the director?
Better Call Saul.
Also, I didn't realize this was a fucking John Hughes movie until the end of the movie. When I saw his name, I was like, "Oh shit!" Like to me, it didn't really fit. But like the only real thing, like in my brain John Hughes movie I have is freaking Breakfast Club, right? That's him. He did Breakfast Club, right?
I mean, he did all sorts of movies. Yeah.
Yeah, but like the only John Hughes movie I like really identify is Breakfast Club. So like this is to me is drastically different than Breakfast. Maybe not drastically, but fairly different.
I mean yes.
There's one other that you know is one other John Hughes movie you definitely know.
Which one?
Home Alone.
Oh, I didn't know. Well, that's the thing. I didn't know it was John Hughes. I know it, but the only thing when I think John Hughes, I think Breakfast Club because I know that that's him.
So here's the thing too. So Breakfast Club, specifically Breakfast Club, and this movie and several others. Ferris Bueller's Day Off, I believe, too.
Oh yeah.
He wrote, directed, like he kind of like did everything for those.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the Brat Pack movies, I think he probably did a lot of that stuff for. But things like well, I think he did Uncle Buck. He did Home Alone. There's others that I'm just fucking blanking on. He was generally just the writer for
Vacation and Christmas Vacation.
Okay, probably European Vacation then too.
Apparently only those two, which since nobody really talks about European Vacation, probably makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. But he just wrote a lot of those. So like Home Alone, I know for a fact, Chris Columbus was the director, who he did the first two Harry Potter movies. But yeah, so like this movie just has like a slightly different vibe because he did everything. But also still, different from like 16 Candles or The Breakfast Club or Ferris Bueller. But I think it's the difference between following teenagers and following adults.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, go ahead, Rich.
I was gonna say, like, what were the name of the characters? I wrote them down because I wasn't. Was it like? Hold on, where's my notes at? Because I wrote them down because I had a few things that I thought were silly. It's Neil and Del, and Neil was Steve Martin. Del was what's his name? I can never remember the big guy's name. But the thing about Neil, like, I started the movie and I was sympathetic to him because I was like, oh, he's stuck at work and his boss sucks. And, like, it was that awkward comedy of, like, silence for the first 5 minutes of the movie. And then he just slowly fell into being a dick. Like, one thing that really stood out to me was at one point, he saw Dell's, and this is early on in the movie, he saw Dell's trunk. And he was like, that's yours? And yes. And he gives Dell a look, like a resentful look, because it's Dell's fault he missed both those cabs. But he missed those cabs for a delayed flight. So he was on time anyway. So it doesn't fucking matter. Chill out.
I mean, to be fair, like, he also tripped over that thing because it was left in the street.
How the fuck do you trip over a thing that big? Like, how do you not see that?
I don't disagree with you. Like, he definitely had he was the grumpy side of the pair.
Yeah. And like, he kind of, like, he had his moments of being a nice guy, and then he had his moments of just being a complete dick. And, like, to me, that, like, maybe made me waffle a little bit more about the movie itself, because it's like, I know you're having a hard time, but you're a jerk, man. You suck. And so, like, that's where I was like, I wanted to like it.
Yeah, like, I think I liked it because he wasn't actually a bad guy either. Like, it'd be different if he was just shitty and like also shitty like to everything. But like he wasn't, like, even though he really didn't like John Candy's character, he still was like, he's like, I'm not gonna let you sleep out in the fucking snow. Like he still like had enough decency. He was just, he was a businessman that appears to spend a lot of time in New York away from home and like was stressed, and that sucks.
Yeah.
And in fairness, he didn't know the flight was delayed until he got there. It's not
I know, but
modern day where, my flight's been delayed. I got 2 extra hours. I can look it up on my phone.
I know that, but the resentful look happened after the plane landed. It wasn't like before they got to the airport. It was after the plane had landed that they were already in Wichita is when he saw the trunk, was like, oh, that's yours? And then gives him this look. Like, oh, what? If you didn't trip over that, the plane never would have had to be diverted to Wichita. Which, by the way, I wrote this down. Wichita can take in 747s, but doesn't have a fucking train station?
Wait, I wonder if it really doesn't have a train station.
That's my question about the movie, though. Like, they didn't have a train station in Wichita, is what they said, and they had to go like 30 miles out of the way to get to a train station in this little small town. But it can bring in a 747 in its airport. That to me, I mean, I don't know if maybe things are different. Like rail transit has not changed much in the last 100 years.
No, but like train tracks go through all the places, so like I'm sure that there has to be a train station in Wichita. Like that is a major city.
Let's see. Wichita trains from near Wichita to Chicago. Newton Station where is Newton Station?
25 miles north.
Oh, I guess so. That's wild.
The Amtrak station in Wichita, Kansas closed in 1979.
Jesus.
Damn. Okay.
That's again, that's,
Wichita. Wichita is not a major city.
Isn't that like one of two major cities in Kansas, though?
It's yeah. I mean, yes, but there's like more people in Camden.
That's the thing. One of the major cities in Kansas is Kansas City, which isn't just in Kansas. So, yeah, there's nothing in Kansas.
I was a little surprised that like their plane to Chicago from New York City got diverted to fucking Kansas.
Like, which is
where the storms are, kind of, yeah.
But the same distance between New York, it was because I looked it up. New York, driving from New York to Chicago is 12 hours. Driving from Wichita to Chicago is 10 hours. You went twice as far to get to Wichita. Which, yeah, I'm sure the storm could have been pretty big, but not that big. Kansas, like, Illinois to Kansas, that's crazy.
Yeah, that was the thing. Like, looking at the map, I'm like, there are definitely places that south of there that weren't getting snow that were probably far closer. And, like, obviously, like, I don't know how, like, airline stuff like that works, but that seems like an egregious fucking thing. It also, like, I really wanted, like, the Home Alone scene where, like, they both get to Chicago and then, like, just somebody else, like that old guy with the mustache from the plane just happened to, like, was already in Chicago when they got there because he just waited at the fucking Wichita airport and got the flight out the next day.
And that was something that you actually kind of heard on the on the news broadcast the first night that his wife was listening to. It was like, oh yeah, they're starting to allow planes to leave and whatnot. And it was like a couple of hours later. It was like middle of the night. It was a couple hours later while Steve Martin and John Candy were sleeping. They started like having flights arrive and stuff like that. They definitely could have, if they just stayed at the airport, could have gotten a flight at some point that night. They 100% could have.
Yeah, it was very much like in Home Alone where the mom like freaks out and like jumps through all these hoops to get back to Chicago. And by the time she does, the whole rest of the family arrives like minutes later.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, yeah. See, all you had to do was wait for the flight in the morning that they promised you.
Yeah.
Like 16 hours plus 5 hours is not that big of a difference.
Also, I'm pretty sure if they thought the storm was going to be that bad, it's a 3-hour flight from New York to Chicago. If they thought the storm was going to be that bad that they couldn't land, it was 2 hours and 40 minutes. I looked it up because I was like, wait, it's not that long of a flight, is it? Like, people were dead asleep during that flight. Like, it's not that long. It's like 2 hours and 40 minutes to get to Chicago from New York. It takes less time to get there than it does to get to Florida from New York. And if they didn't think they were going to be able to land by the time they got to Chicago, they would have landed earlier. They would not have kept going. Unless it was a connecting flight, then they probably would have kept going, but I don't think it was a connecting flight. I think it was a direct flight. Like, you know.
Yeah, it definitely was a direct flight.
Yeah, but I don't think an airport would have been like, all right, well, let's just take you 10 hours further away than where you have to go. No, they would have landed sooner. Because also the plane wouldn't have had enough fuel to get that. Might not have had enough fuel to get that far. Because that would have been another 3-hour flight.
Yeah, you know, it's funny. I'm actually trying to. So I've seen that movie Due Date, and I'm kind of like thinking about it in my head, and I don't remember a ton of it, but I do remember that like there are definitely some similar like beats in there too. Like,
oh yeah,
especially with the car, like because that's the movie where Galifianakis's character has like what's the thing where you can just fall asleep randomly?
Narcolepsy.
Yeah, he's got that or something similar, and like falls asleep while driving. And they get into like a nasty car accident. Robert Downey Jr.'s character gets injured, But Galifianakis doesn't because he was in such a deep sleep. His body just kind of moved with the damage.
Mm-hmm.
And like that kind of reminds me of, just the series of stupid that happened in the car where like first the cigarette lands on the back seat and then John Candy gets both of his arms stuck and they spin out and all that stuff, end up on the wrong side of the road.
I was yelling I was like, just take your hands out of the fucking jacket. Like, just take your hand out of the jacket.
Just pull over when the first one happens.
Right.
That too, but like, if your jacket gets stuck, just pull your arm out of the jacket. Like, he could have easily pulled his arm out of the jacket. He wanted to take the jacket off anyway. Could have easily done that. And then the "you're going the wrong way" bit, which I was like, that's silly, but also at the same time, like, that's just oblivious.
Yeah,
That's
and like
oblivious.
that whole scene was just one of those. Have neither of you ever driven on a highway before? There usually aren't gaps like that when you're both going the same direction.
Yeah, they're being incredibly oblivious, and like and it's stuff like that like I can get into some like comedies like these, like just some like disaster comedies basically, but like that is not, to me, that's not a good disaster. To me, that situation, like that scene, wasn't really funny to me because it's unbelievable.
Yeah, and that's kind of the problem. Like the spinning out and stuff like that. Like, well, not funny. It was just more like a little what's the word I'm looking for? Tense, I guess, because you don't know what's going to happen. Like it's a comedy, so they're not going to get like hurt. But I will say that the one thing that did make me like I was actually like a little shocked was when he backed into the hotel. And then Steve Martin's just like, go, 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 go. And they like drive away real quick.
Yeah.
I'm like, holy shit, I did not see that coming.
No.
But yeah, overall, I think like it's a good movie. Like it's not bad, but also it was probably funnier 37 years ago.
Yeah.
Without, that shtick being done so many times before.
Yeah.
Anything you guys want to say to kind of finish up?
No.
Yeah.
All right. Well, the last pick, I believe, is mine for I'm just gonna keep it with Thanksgiving for this last one. So I found this movie called Jim Henson's Turkey Hollow.
Okay.
I don't know anything about it other than it's on Disney Plus.
Okay.
But it's got like Muppets and shit in it, but like not Muppets, like more like Fraggle Rock looking dudes.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I believe it's a family movie.
I'm sure it is.
But it looks fucking weird. It's got Ludacris. Well, Ludacris is the narrator, I should say. So Ludacris narrates it, and Mary Steenburgen, who is what's her name?
Oh, is this fucking 2015?
Yeah,
Jesus Christ!
almost a decade ago.
And it's a made-for-TV movie. Oh God, it's a Lifetime film.
Oh, is it really a Lifetime film?
According to Wikipedia, Jim Henson's Turkey Hollow's 2015 Thanksgiving television film, created by the Jim Henson Company and aired on Lifetime in 2015.
Well,
so
it is on Disney Plus now.
So it's not a Lifetime film, but it was created by Jim Henson, but it aired on Lifetime. Like it was. Look, Lifetime can have some. I mean, it's got Ludacris, so I'm all for it. I'm all for it.
Yeah, I mean, let's give it a shot. Why not?
Yeah.
Turkey Hollow. It's on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
We'll see how bad it potentially is.
And can I just make a suggestion for the final holiday movie, seeing as we've got 2 weeks left and it'll be Christmas after that?
Yeah.
I got this movie from watching the movie now. Can we watch Scrooged? Because I've never actually seen that all the way through.
I mean, your pick is next, so absolutely.
Yeah. If it's on a thing, sure.
All right. It's on Paramount. It started to play as Planes, Trains, and Automobiles finished today. I was like, no, I'm not going to watch it right now.
And look, it's also on Pluto. I can watch it on there without having to sign up for another thing again.
We also there's also to keep it in theme for that. After watching Scrooged, we can watch A Muppets Christmas Carol.
Well,
the
that'll
best
be
version of a Christmas Carol ever made.
That'll be the end of the holiday season.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like that's what I think. That's why I was like, can I make a suggestion so that we can all agree, because it's a 4th movie in the category, and then we're going to go to the category I suggested prior, where it's the best of 2024. That was the idea
Yeah.
of this category, was to go an extra week because just pull in all the holidays or
Yeah.
do holiday movies. So
Yeah, and then the first set in January we'll do the like best of the year sort of one.
well, what I'm saying is this gets us to the 10th, and then Scrooge will get us to the 24th. So the best of unless you want to do another Christmas movie, that'll get us to the 7th. That's fine too.
Yeah, why not?
It's up to you guys. I don't care. We can either do best of 2024 starting the 25th to the whatever, or we can start it on the 7th. Doesn't matter either way.
Yeah, we'll figure out when we get closer to it.
Yeah.
So that out of the way, Rich, what is Liar's Bar?
So there's this. It's a indie game. I'm assuming it's most likely indie. Definitely indie. Not even most likely. It's a small little indie game on Steam right now from Curve Animation is the developer and publisher. It's called Liar's Bar. It is a game where you're basically playing card games or dice games with each other with a twist. And it's basically you're either playing bullshit or you're playing, I can't remember what the name of the dice game is. It's called Liar's Deck or Liar's Dice. So Liar's Deck it gives you, depending on how many players there are, so we had 3 players when we were doing it, there's 5 of each card. So there's 5 queens, 5 kings, 5 aces, and then 2 jokers. And each round is a different game, so it'll be queen's table, king's table, aces table, whatever. And you have to place down, you get a hand of 5, and you have to place down however many cards you have in your hand of that card. And you have to let them know, you tell them, like, oh, I've got 2 aces that you're placed down. It's basically bullshit. But there's only 4 card types. It's not the entire deck. And so you can then either, if you think they're telling the truth, you play your cards. If you think they're lying, you can call them out on it. If you call them out and they are lying, it then turns into Russian roulette, where they pick up a gun and they put it to their head. And they pull the trigger and they got 1 bullet. If it turns out that they were telling the truth, then the person who calls them out does the same thing. They pick up a gun, put it to their head. There's also Liar's Dice, which is every turn, each person, they have to make a wager as to how many of a certain number of die there are. The wager number has to go up, but the die number can always go up or down. So you can start the round by saying there's 5 5s right away, and then the next wager can only go up to can stay at 5 but change a number, or can go up to 6 or 7. It can't go down. Then you will whoever thinks that it is what it is. Like if the person says there's 6 5s, you can call them out. Everyone shows their dice, and if there's 5 5s, the person who said there were 6 5s drinks a bottle of poison. Person who says or if there were what it was, you for calling them out has to drink the poison. You drink 2 poisons, then you die. So it's a little bit of more of a social game, more of a game to just sit there and have something playing in the background while you're chatting. But like the whole room is all situated with a bunch of different characters. You play as animals, and they're like you're like kind of gangster animals at that. So like you can be like the starting characters was an ox, a pig, a fox, and a dog. And then they recently added a few new characters. There's also Devil's games in this, so that it's a harder version where if you're playing, say you're playing Liar's Deck, and you play the Devil's card, which is always it's a card of the game of that card, so or of that game. So if you're playing King's Table and you play the Devil's King, and you can only play it by itself, and somebody calls you on that, and you're telling the truth, and it flips, and it's the King's, but it's a Devil's card. Everyone at the table, besides the player who played it, has to do the Russian roulette, pull a gun, and attempt to shoot themselves in the face. It can be pretty shocking.
That's actually kind of fun.
It is fun. It's a fun game. It can be pretty shocking with the whole animals shooting themselves in the head. Because like it's a 1 in 6 chance for the first time you go do it. And then it's a 1 in 5, and then a 1 in 4, and so on and so forth. Every time you get called, you could play the game flawlessly, and then get called out once and die with a 1 in 6, and lose. Whereas somebody could have been called out 5 times, pull the gun to their head 5 times and then still win because they didn't they didn't shoot themselves. Like it's got like a cool concept. Like I said, a little shocking when they shoot themselves, but it's also like the animation is ridiculous. The game also has like voice chat, like built-in voice chat, where the animals' mouths move as you talk as well.
Oh, that's actually kind of cool.
Which is ridiculous. And yeah, you can like look around the room. You can check out some of the sites. There's a monkey playing guitar. There's a bear smoking a pipe. There's a horse at the bar throwing knives at a dartboard. Just some like fun, silly things to look around at while you guys are chatting. It's not a game to play for a long time, but it's a game to like just chill with and hang out with and be silly and have fun. I liked it. It's like it's not expensive. It's like under $10 on Steam right now. It's $7 on Steam. And it's early access. I don't know what else they're going to be working, if maybe they're adding more game modes or anything like that. But it's just a fun, silly game to get into from time to time.
I just tried to open Steam and couldn't find it. It was already in my taskbar, and I forgot that I had it set to not hide. So I was like staring in like the items that are like usually hidden. I'm like, why isn't Steam there?
Yeah.
The Liar's Bar?
Liar's Bar, yeah.
Oh yeah, look at that. $6. Well, $6.99.
Yeah. $6.99. It's fun. Like it's everyone I've seen YouTubers play it. I've seen Twitch streamers play it.
This game looks better than I thought you meant.
Yeah.
To be honest with you.
It looks good. Like graphically it looks good. It's like got a little bit of a cartoony vibe to it. They're continuing to update it. It's only up to 4 players, and it's always lying. And the games are based around lying. It's Liar's Bar. So we played with 3 of us, and it's like I had it easy because I tended to be the person who was next to me tended not to call out on lying, so I knew I could get away with it. So I would always like my first round. I would always I would basically split my hand up. And however many, so say you get 5. Say I had one of the card you needed. So say it's Queen's table. I had 1 queen, 2 kings, and 2 aces. I would always just play the 2 aces, the 2 kings, and then the queen. I would split my hand up to where I would always play the same cards of the same type, because it doesn't make sense to play the card you need with a different card. Because if you get caught out, you still lied because you're saying you put down 2 of that card and not 1 of that card. So if you get called out on your bullshit, it's like, oh, well, you lied. You said you put down 2 queens, not 1 queen. And so I would just always be like, all right, well, here's 2 queens down right away. And it's 2 aces instead. And here's 2 kings down. But here's 2 more kings, or 2 more queens. But it's 2 kings. And then here's 1 more queen. And then I'd be like, all right, I'm out. That's it. One rule I had to keep reminding them is if you are the last player playing a card, and somebody like if it's you and 1 other person, and you play the last of your hand, the other player has to call on you. They are not allowed to play their cards. The game automatically calls them out for being a liar. So keep that in mind when you're playing your last cards. Otherwise, you're like, if you're gonna sit here and put down 2 cards that are kings when it's a queen's table for your last hand, and there's no one else after you besides the 1 other person, you're going to be caught lying. So like, think about that. Then you use that as your strategy. So my strategy was always queens last, or kings last, or aces last, depending on whatever the table was.
So I know you said it's a multiplayer game. I assume it's multiplayer only.
Yeah, multiplayer only.
And does it have like random matching, or like you were playing with people you knew?
I was playing with people I knew. It might have like matchmaking. I'm not really sure. I think it did have matchmaking. I didn't really explore into it too much. And then one of the other cool things is you could actually go in and get art and comic cells for each of the characters. So they have a little bit of a story about the characters too. Because that's like all you get from them is just that.
I mean, like, I'm not going to get it because it's multiplayer, but like, it honestly, like, it looks better than I thought, like, from like what you were explaining. And like, I think it's a really cool concept from what you're saying.
Mm-hmm. And it actually has an update is coming out tomorrow where they're adding a new character. It looks like he's a red panda. It has a new mode, Chaos Mode, which I don't really know what that's going to do. It's going to have new rule sets, a new backdrop, a new bar that you can hang out in, and host migration. So,
so you can like move the host. Like if you're the host
yeah.
of the game and you're gonna
if
leave,
I
you can pass it to somebody.
Say I die and I'm like, all right, I don't want to play anymore, guys. I can just leave and it'll just pass it to somebody else. So it's got some new stuff coming out. I didn't even know that there was an update coming out tomorrow. So that's pretty sweet. I might try to get. I know one streamer who wants to play this game with me. I might try to see if she wants to do that sometime soon, since it's being updated.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, for $7, it's almost worth buying it if it sounds interesting. Because odds are, when it's out of early access, the price will at least go up a little bit.
Yeah, it's definitely worth jumping into it now. Like I said, it's a game to play when you have downtime and you don't know what else you want to play with your friends, with people. Like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to play sometimes, and it's like everyone else has like different interests. But I'm like, let's just play this. Like, let's just kill time. I don't really want to play anything that takes a lot of thinking. I just want to chat with you guys and hang out. So let's have this in the background while we're doing it.
Yeah, and then from what you were saying before about like it's got like the built-in voice chat and like the avatars actually like act like they're talking, like that adds a little something to it too, because it's like you're actually playing the games.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
This is
silent but cool.
The new rule set, the Chaos rule set, introduces a new level of tension to your table with the addition of Master and Chaos cards. In this mode, each player holds 3 instead of 5. Only 1 card can be played per turn. If the player next to you reveals the Master card you played, you may aim your weapon at anyone you wish. Beware though, if the Chaos card is revealed, everyone at the table points their weapon at each other. High stakes move to find out who's friend and who's foe. So it's the scene of the improv scene of what's it called, of The Office, when everyone's holding their guns out at each other when they're pretending to be spies or whatever in that episode.
Oh, wait. Oh, okay. Yeah. Sorry. No,
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about now.
Yeah.
Yeah. In the
It was when
in the
Dunder
conference
Mifflin
room.
was. Yeah, it was when Dunder Mifflin was shutting down, and they just needed to blow off steam. It was like a Christmas episode or something like that, I think.
Yeah, I know exactly which one you're talking about now. It was just like I drew a blank there for a second.
Yeah.
Nice, but yeah, it sounds like at least an interesting game, especially if you're like you said, you're looking for something to just kind of kill some time when you're like going to be playing like something else with people. Like maybe you're waiting on like another person to join for Sea of Thieves or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's silly.
Nice. Anything else you want to say about it?
No, that's it.
Well, fine. Then we will move along.
Well, let's go. Let's move.
I played the demo for the game Minishoot Adventures. Have you guys heard of this at all?
No. I was looking at it while we were talking, so I knew what it was. It's like a shooter, or not? It's a bullet hell kind of thing.
Ish, yeah. So it's got a little bit of the bullet hell thing, twin stick shooter vibe going on, but it's also got like a Metroidvania mixed with like a little bit of Zelda. Like it's weird. So the overworld has like almost like little battle arenas, like a Doom or like a Souls game, where like you kind of go into an area, the area gets like locked off, and then you have to like take on waves of enemies. But then like as you're playing, like you're literally going in and like doing dungeons and like finding keys and stuff like you would in a Zelda game. And it's all top down. You're like a little spaceship. You're trying to like find the other spaceships to like save them, while also taking down it's called the Unchosen, I believe is what the like intro to the game called it. It's actually been pretty cool so far. Super fucking hard. And it might just be my controls are a little too sensitive at the moment, but like the movement and aiming was a little too jumpy. So like there were times where like you get into a thing, and if you weren't really ready for the type of enemies that spawned, you would just be fucked. There were a few rooms I walked into and just a bunch of enemies spawned, and all of a sudden, and I just immediately was dead. But like once you kind of get the hang of it, and like especially if you're redoing the same like arena a couple times, you definitely get like a better feel for like how some of the enemies move and like which ones make sense to take out first. And then there's a whole series of upgrades for all your different stuff. So like when you start the game, you can upgrade how fast you move, how fast your shots move, how much damage your shots do, how much range they have, stuff like that. And then as you're playing, you start unlocking new abilities. So far I've gotten a booster to move faster, which also lets you go off ramps and like jump bigger gaps. Which is where kind of the Metroidvania style comes in, where like you're getting upgrades to then access new areas of the map and potentially double back to areas that you couldn't get to before. And there are different things where like once you get an upgrade, you'll find like a switch nearby that then creates like a path to get to that area quicker. So that you don't have to do the whole loop again to get back to it. And then in the dungeon I'm in, I just unlocked like a dodge sort of move. You're a spaceship. You do like a little like spin move, and for whatever reason, the spin move lets you like go across gaps that you couldn't do with just the regular booster. Because while it's a ship, it's like landlocked. So if you go over water, you fall into the water. If you go over like empty space, you fall into empty space. So this little dash lets you kind of like cover small distances or like kind of like cut corners certain ways so that you can kind of like get around things that maybe you couldn't before. It's been cool so far though. I'm in what is like the first dungeon you get to after spending a whole bunch of time just exploring the outside. Because it's just open like a Metroidvania would be, or like even kind of like a Zelda game where you're kind of like dropped into it and just kind of told to go somewhere, but you don't necessarily know how to get there.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And so like you find a lot of like possible paths you can take, and you kind of have to just follow those paths until you hit either a block that you can't get past or some sort of like combat situation where you might just not be upgraded enough to really handle like the level of enemies that are being thrown at you. Because like a whole wide range of enemies will spawn when you kind of enter like different areas. You'll get like these little guys that are pretty quick and easy to take out. But then occasionally you'll get these giant things that just kind of like some of the videos just spew shots at you. And at least where I'm at right now, there's no way to neutralize attacks. I don't know if later on there'll be like an upgrade where if you shoot certain attacks a certain way or maybe like dash through them, you can kind of like negate them. Right now you get hit, you take a damage. I have 3 hearts. I get hit 3 times. I go back to like the last like loading point essentially. It does. So I guess this is common, but like looking online, there were some references to like Souls style, which I don't necessarily agree with. But like when you die, you go back to like the last spot, like the last spawn point, and all the enemies get resurrected, which is just common. Like if you die in a Zelda game, all the enemies are back. Fuck it. If you just go off screen and come back, the enemies are usually back. But you keep all of your like experience and stuff. So there have been a few times where I was down to 1 heart and I just let myself get hit so that I would spawn back at the beginning. I could go a different way where I knew there were like more enemies and hit like a level up so that I would get an upgrade point. Mm-hmm. Because it stays there when you die. So, use it to your advantage.
Yeah. People use the idea of like the Soulsborne things resurrecting when you die, because dying is kind of a mechanic in the game. It's a pseudo necessary mechanic of the game, basically.
That's true, because in those games you have to die to upgrade.
Yeah, and it's like if you didn't die, you could probably beat this game without dying, but you are cutting yourself out of possible experience gain, which I'm sure every time you reload, it'll respawn the enemies as well. So like that's where people are comparing it to a Souls, is because like it's a kind of a key mechanic of the game to be able to grind out experience.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm sure there are other ways to like grind out experience that doesn't require dying. But at least so far, there's not really a penalty where I'm at right now, because the area is small enough that like, and I've opened up enough of like the alternate paths that going back to like the starting point isn't really hurting me. Mm-hmm. And in the dungeon, at least when you die, you just go back to the beginning of it. And similar to most Zelda dungeons, as you progress in them, you kind of unlock different doors, different paths that let you get back to certain areas quicker. The only real downside is with the dungeons, sometimes like you're trying to get to a specific part of it, but you do have to kind of deal with a few waves of enemies through those parts first, which frankly isn't the end of the world, because you're just getting more experience. As long as you're not getting hit by them too much where you're just going to die again. One other kind of like, I feel like because it works this way, I feel like it is actually an intended mechanic. When you fall into water or like empty space or whatever, and you do like the respawn, you don't take damage. So like in a Zelda game, if you jump into the water enough, like I think you lose like a quarter heart. In this you don't. So there have been a couple times where I was going to be killed, and I just moved off the thing, fell into it, respawned kind of in the middle of the platform, had like a couple frames of invincibility, and was able to kind of like pull like a win out just from kind of taking that like leap off the side without suffering any consequence.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I thought that was actually pretty cool. I'm interested to see what some of the upgrades look like later, because I've watched some of the videos, and it does have that, at least for your attacks, they seem to have that like shooter progression, like bullet hell progression, where like right now where I'm at it, I just fire like these tiny little like pellets that don't go all that far, but I have upgraded the damage and the speed to them, so they fire pretty rapidly. But seeing some of the videos, you get like big triangles and things like that just look like it's going to make hitting things a lot easier, because that's part of the challenge right now is some of the things are pretty small and they move quick, so like staying on them while you're also dodging, not the easiest situation.
Yeah.
One bit of like dodging that I've noticed that has been helpful is everything that comes at you. And if you watch any of the videos, you'll see it in some of the bigger ones easier. They're all circles, and they start with like a big white like center, and then that white kind of shrinks as it's going down, and eventually it's just like an orangish red ball. Once that white is kind of gone, it no longer does any damage to you. Like you can hit it and it just kind of like goes away. I haven't had a situation yet where I could test it, but I'm wondering if it's more of the white is like the actual damage hitbox, and if you even hit like the orange once it's like, especially for the bigger ones, when the white is kind of like really down, I'm wondering if I hit like the orange, if it just doesn't do damage then either. But that's something I'll have to try and like find a time to kind of like test the theory out on.
Yeah.
And then there's one other thing I was going to mention about this. Fuck, what was it? Oh man, right out of my head. It's the kind of day I've been having. Oh, do you guys remember Geometry Wars?
Yes.
Yes.
Game's great.
Yeah. So you remember like in that like certain times where like if you did like certain, like you hit certain things or like got certain like achievements, there'd be like a little explosion on the screen, and you would take out like the enemies in like the general vicinity of you, depending on the mode.
Yeah.
This kind of has something similar to that, where every time you level up, if you level up during like combat, you kind of let out like a little explosion around you, and you'll at the very least deal damage to nearby enemies. If you can kind of like time it right and be like next to a big enemy, you can actually do like decent damage and take them down a little bit quicker.
Mm-hmm.
And the important thing to mention here too is your experience is like a little jar that fills with like these crystals you collect from both fallen enemies and objects in the world. And it's just up in the top corner next to your health. So you see the jar slowly filling up as you're doing that. You can kind of like, you can tell when you're about to level up really easily. Oh,
Nice.
it's got heart pieces, just like Zelda. Like I found one heart piece so far. So I think 3 more and I'll get like another health spot.
Nice.
Cool.
Yeah.
So honestly, I just added it to my wish list.
Yeah, like I mean, so far, like I said, I only have the demo right now because I wanted to see what it was like first. But I'm probably going to get this. It's only $15.
Yeah.
And it did have. I actually took a picture of it when I started the game up. When you first start the game, there's like a little message. Hang on, bear with me for a second. Google Photo, what are you doing? All right. So the little message, like before the game actually starts, like before you get to like the start new game screen, it says, "Hi. We are a 2-person team dedicated to making the best game possible. If you experience any bugs or issues, please report it in the game's Steam forum to let us know. Thank you and have fun." I just thought that was nice. It's like, hey, we're just 2 people. So like if you have problems, like don't shit on our game. Like just please let us know. Like we'll do our best to fix them.
Yeah. Makes sense.
And the game actually, of course, for whatever reason, my browser page is frozen right now. There we go. I want to say when I looked the other day, the game overwhelmingly positive reviews on Steam.
Yeah.
And it's only
all time it's overwhelmingly positive too. It's not just recently.
Yeah. So it just came out back in the spring too. So I want to say it was like, yeah, April 2024 is when it released. And it's only the studio's second game. They did Swords and Souls before, which also kind of, it looks like it's like turn-based, but looks like it could be okay. The graphics kind of remind me of those shitty cell phone games though.
Yeah.
But like for a 2-person team, like I can understand like you're going to probably use graphics that are easy. And I have to imagine those shitty cell phone game graphics are probably easy, just based on how often they're kind of thrown together and thrown out.
It actually gives me Sword and Souls. It gives me like browser game graphics.
Yeah, you know what, a little bit, yeah. But
Gives
like
me just like
the game
browser
itself
feel.
doesn't look bad. It's just like the graphics kind of like just have a certain feel to them.
Mm.
But when was that? So that was 2019. So it's 5 years between that and Minishoot Adventures.
Mm-hmm.
So at least they're like, taking their time building games. But yeah, definitely recommend checking it out. Like again, free demo, why not?
Yeah.
Especially
I love
if you like bullet hells.
Yeah, I miss bullet hells. They used to be so big, and now they're not as big.
Yeah,
I remember
yeah.
Ikaruga was the best.
I mean, Ikaruga was good. I remember like when the PS4 launched, playing a whole bunch of that game whose name I can't remember, Resogun.
Mm-hmm.
Like I played a lot of Resogun when the console came out, especially because it was like one of the first games that you could get on it for free with like PS Plus.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And yeah, Ikaruga, Geometry Wars.
Mm-hmm.
I just played Geometry Wars like a few years ago because I own it on like the Xbox Arcade.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's available on like Game Pass, PC Game Pass. I'm actually gonna check that.
Oh, excuse me.
It would help if I know how to spell geometry. No, it doesn't look like it is actually.
I was
That's
gonna say,
actually
I don't know that
surprising.
I don't know that a PC version of that ever came out.
Oh, you know what? That's a good call. Was there a third one?
The original probably there's a
Yeah.
uh,
Dimensions
16
Evolved 2016.
There was Geometry Wars Retro Evolved 2007.
Yeah, I mean,
It's on Steam.
So
oh,
I
okay.
did. So I realized like this is going totally off topic. I did not realize the original Geometry War was like an arcade game inside of Project Gotham Racing,
Oh wow.
and then like the first standalone one was released 2 years later.
Mm.
But I played a lot of Geometry Wars 2. Like I own 1 and 2, but I think I played 2 more. And those games were fun. I might play one of them later.
Yeah, I'm playing more Immortals Phoenix Rising, which I enjoy that game, but there are so many things about that game that I'm just like, man, this is a bad decision.
Yeah, no, I can understand that. Also, looking, it does not appear that Geometry Wars 1 did have a Windows release, but Geometry Wars 2 did not. Geometry Wars 3 did. But some of them are old enough that it might be like that weird thing where you need that like Windows Store stuff to play the way you needed for Resident Evil 5.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. Minishoot Adventure, fun time. Worth checking out if you enjoy Metroidvanias or bullet hells or a cool little combination of the two.
Nice. Yeah, it looks good. It looks fun. Sorry, I got distracted for a second.
Well, stop getting distracted.
That's hard.
Anything else you guys want to talk about?
I don't think there's any
Nah.
crazy things that I saw today to mention. No crazy stories. So no, I don't think so.
I've been watching anything that's actually new.
I mean, currently the only thing I'm watching that's new is Bleach. And I've been making my way
How
through
is it?
Castle. It's Bleach, so pacing is a little bit rough and all over the place, and like kind of frustrating because it's like, well, to be honest, as far as I know, because you never know how the anime is gonna go. This week was the first ever fight that you saw from beginning to end in a really long time. So we actually saw like a good fight. Well, I mean, actually, most of the season has had good fights go from beginning to end. It's just they seem like they should be a lot bigger and longer fights.
Which which fights are you into right now?
So the last thing we saw was Kenpachi and Science Guy go up against the Hand.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you seen any of the other captains fight yet, or
No.
former captains?
No.
Okay.
Right now, it's just been Kenpachi. The only captains we've seen were Kenpachi and Science Guy. We saw Renji fight Ishida, and that's about it. Like we saw Ichigo fight Ishida. Like the whole beginning of the season was a whole big clusterfuck of everything is happening, and then it's like it's kind of slowed down, but there's still like it's like I don't know. Pacing still, it's this. I feel like this is going to be better served when you just binge it all.
Yeah, I mean, you're probably right. I was just trying to, I was like kind of thinking back to like reading it, and like there were some really cool stuff in there. Like you get to see a lot of bankais from like the captains and some of like the people that were like former captains that like you didn't get to see during the Eisen arc originally.
Yeah.
And like seeing some of those and like how they work and everything was actually really cool. But then I remember just like the end of it being kind of a letdown anyway. So
yeah, we'll see what happens. But there's still after the season one more, and this season. I feel like this part of the season, or this season's almost over. I don't know though. I haven't really been paying attention to the length of seasons.
I think they've been like 10 episodes each.
Something like that, yeah.
And I think this is the third set, right?
Yeah.
So there's one more set.
It should be, from what you tell me.
I'm pretty sure it was supposed to be like 4 sets of episodes. And it sounds like it's getting close to finishing.
Yeah. Let's see. Season 1 was 13 episodes. So, and we just got, let's just double check. We have 12 episodes in season 2, but some of them are dubbed. Or not season 2, season 3. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we got 5 more episodes left of the season.
Oh wow. Okay. When did it start?
8 weeks ago. So 2 months ago.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know. For some reason I thought it started longer ago.
Nope. No, it started like just as My Hero was ending. Like I think My Hero and Bleach had like a week or 2 overlap, but it started as My Hero was ending.
I forgot My Hero was not on right now.
Yeah, I mean that was like 6 or 7 weeks ago. And the final season is next year.
Oh, that's right. They did like actually announce that it was going to be the final season, right?
It's literally at the end of the last episode. It says to be continued in the final season.
Good.
So hopefully they do better with pacing in that when it comes to fights, because I mean it's kind of hard because all of your fights are all happening at the same time. But like I don't mind them like reversing, going back in time to be like, well, meanwhile this was happening. Like go back 20 minutes and show the whole fight for somebody else. But like I want to see a whole fight in an episode. I am tired of this.
That's not anime though.
A quarter of a fight in an episode or shit like that. Like it's just it's not anime. It's shonen.
I mean that's anime though.
Yeah.
Anime is shonen.
Yeah.
Like if it has fights, it's shonen, and those fights are going to take 13 episodes, and you're only going to see a few new scenes a week.
Yeah, and that was at the very beginning of the season when you see Stars and Stripes go up against what's his name,
Shigaraki,
and like Todoroki or what? Yeah, and
Todoroki's a good guy.
Not Todoroki. You know who I'm talking about. But you see Stars and Stripes go up against the fucking kid, and like she doesn't even. I don't even think the fight starts till halfway into the episode, and then you get to see most of the fight. But it doesn't end in the episode, and then they leave it up for like the first 5 minutes of the next episode. You watch her death, and it's like, well, that kind of sucks. That's annoying.
Yeah. Unfortunately, this is 100% how the manga did it too.
Yeah,
like that was my problem with the manga. Is like you figure it's 20-page chapters at most, and it was like every chapter there was 2 pages of story, and then the next chapter it went to a different fight. So like you weren't getting any real anything.
Yeah.
And yeah, like it's not a good way to pace something.
No, it loses me a bit. Like it makes me want to turn around and just wait for it all to be out. But I just with Bleach and with My Hero, like I like that. I don't want to be spoiled. Like I've been spoiled enough with some stuff. Like and some things were for instance, with Bleach, I looked stuff up myself. Like I wanted to know what things were like because I was like, I just don't want to wait. But then, like, within My Hero, I'm like, I don't want to know. I don't want to know anything. And it was the possible death of Bakugo was spoiled for me at one point.
I will give it credit. I don't know where this season ended, nor do I remember like the order of operations because, like we were just saying, like it's all over the fucking place. But
go ahead. I was gonna say where it ended.
Oh, where did it end?
It ended mid-fight between All for One and All Might, or One for All and All Might, whatever. I always
It
get All for One for
It
All.
all might pull out the suitcase.
He already has been in robot form.
Okay.
It's mid fight, and like I think he's actually he like All for One is starting to get disinterested in the fight, and I think he's getting ready to go after Midoriya.
Okay. And then is Midoriya fighting Shigaraki?
Yeah, Midoriya's in the middle of fighting Shigaraki, and like they're kind of in a stalemate right now. Even though what's her name shot Shigaraki a few times.
So
A lot of the main fights have concluded. Like Himiko is done. And friggin' well the fight with all the beast men are basically done. Like it's a lot of the main fights are kind of just over, and it's really just them two that's left.
yeah, so they did at least take it to kind of like the finish line. So assuming it's another like 24 episode season, it's going to be slow, but it'll at least be able to be focused.
Mm-hmm.
And like there were some cool shit that happened like once it kind of focused down to like kind of these final two fights. And then like whether you like the way it ended or not, it at least had a proper ending.
Yeah.
So like it gave closure on kind of everything, and it took a few chapters post the final battle to like show us kind of what happened. It wasn't just the fight's over, that's it. Like series done. I think there was like 6 chapters after the end of the battle where like we got to see like the immediate fallout, we got to see like the cleanup, and like basically we got to see a little bit of them rebuilding society.
Mm-hmm. I have a feeling the anime might embellish on that more and show us a little bit more of that, which would be nice. But yeah, well, it's next year. Probably, I think like mid next year or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's usually been like a summer to fall debut most of the time.
Yeah.
So now that you're fed up with all this like typical shonen, when are you starting One Piece?
I'm not. It just, and it's no offense against one. It's just too many episodes for me to like. And yeah, it's friggin' what is it? 1,200 episodes now.
Yeah, something like that.
I've been watching Castle, and that's daunting. And that's like 6 seasons of 24 episodes each of an hour-long episode. No, it's more than that actually. And I'm like, this is a lot. Like, why did I get into this? And I'm like, season 4 of like it might even be like 12. I'm season 4 of, and I didn't even know the show went that long. Season 4 of 8. It's 24 episodes each, except for the first season, which was 10. And I'm like, this is a lot. Like, this is a lot bigger of a show than I was expecting. To like think about going into One Piece, I'm like, this is. I don't have the time for that. Like, I don't have the time. Like, even one episode a day will still take me 5 years to get through.
Yeah, but why would you only watch one episode a day? They're only 20 minutes.
Exactly. So why wouldn't I just watch them all? But it's still like it's still, even if and like 5 years is not the right math. It's less than 5 years, but I'm also accounting for all the new episodes we're going to get over the course of the next 3 years that it's going to take me to watch it for one episode a day. Like, I mean, I could do that, but at the same time, by the end of the 4 years, how much of it am I going to fucking remember? That's 1,500 episodes.
Oh, you'll remember every episode. It's a lifetime commitment.
No, I won't.
I mean, that's true. You won't. You don't remember what you had for breakfast.
I remember what I had for breakfast, but it's because it's the same thing every day. Yeah. 2 eggs, 2 slices of turkey bacon, and I had waffles today. I had a waffle instead of a bagel. 4 proteins and a carb.
Too much breakfast.
No, it's actually just enough breakfast.
Breakfast, least important meal of the day.
I mean, every meal you have is important, but breakfast to me is like, if I don't eat a good breakfast, my whole day's screwed. So
I had a monster Java for breakfast.
I can't function without food for breakfast. Like, I cannot. Like, I always, like, when PAX is in 2 weeks, and I always make sure to stop at Wawa and grab like their egg bite things or something like that, and some actual food and some protein bars when I'm going to PAX, so I have stuff to snack on, so I have something with me and I have something to eat on the way there, because otherwise I generally don't wake up early enough to get there to like cook something beforehand. Like, I if I don't have food, I don't function. Food is my coffee.
Which is fine. You do what you got to do, right?
Yeah, especially since I can't really drink regular coffee anyway, so I need something else to give me energy.
Well, I think we've run the gamut on things we have to talk about.
Yeah, that's a show.
That is a show. Drew, actually, do you have anything?
I mean, I went to 2 concerts last weekend after being sick, last week after being sick at the beginning of the week.
Who'd you see?
Well, we were both at that Real Friends show that I was kind of meh on most of that show.
Oh, see, I had a
About
great
you?
time at that one.
I like Carly Cosgrove. Real Friends is fine. I wasn't too big into either Slow Joy or Can't Swim.
So, I mean, that's fair. I also didn't care for those two. I had never heard Carly Cosgrove before, and I actually really liked them.
Yeah, they're fucking great.
It also helped that they were
Schneider.
hometown, and like the crowd was super into it.
A lot of people actually seem to have left after Carly Cosgrove.
No, a lot of people did. Somebody actually, because I was up near the front, somebody actually stopped and said that like a lot of people just left. But I really like Real Friends. Like that was my third time seeing them.
It was at least my second, both this year.
I saw them this time last year when they toured with Knucklepuck, and then at Sad Summer in August, which was also the one that you saw.
Mm-hmm. And then I was back at the TLA the next night for Forest, Max Steel, Arm's Length, and Origami Angel.
Nice.
Which was fucking amazing. It turned out I didn't really look into who the openers were. I knew Origami Angel was playing. I was like, I need to go. I've gotten way into them this year. They'll be probably in my thing of 2024 picks. Their new album from this year is real good, where they have a song called HM07 Waterfall.
That's a fun name.
They also have a EP. What is it called? Gen 3, and the songs are Ruby, Sapphire, Emerald, and XD Gale of Darkness.
Okay, I might have to listen to them.
Yeah, they're real dope. I mean, look up Dr. Whomst is probably my favorite song by them, and then Thank You New Jersey is really good.
Are they from Jersey?
No, they're from
it's even
DC,
better.
I think. Oh, the song is about how Jersey people are just like tell you straight and fucking ruin your mood and make you fucking not think too highly of yourself because you're not actually shit.
Nice.
And then the openers, I'd known at least one song from all of them. The first band that played Forests, I did not realize that they are from Singapore.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, like I have had one song from them on my liked songs playlist for a while, and I don't hear an accent on the singer when listening to like the recorded version. Definitely has an accent.
I gotta ask Drew, what connections do they have to the CCP?
I don't know.
You don't? Are you sure they don't have any connections to the CCP?
I don't. I have no idea.
Do you know what I'm referencing?
No.
You said they're from Singapore, which is the guy from TikTok. That's where he's from. And when the whole TikTok stuff, the legislators were asking him what connections he has to the Chinese Communist Party. And he's like, I am from Singapore. I have zero connections to the CCP.
Gotcha. Yes, I remember that now. The lead singer from fucking Hot Mulligan came out during one of Forrest's songs. Apparently he's been just kind of touring with them, I guess. He was at least at one other show. I was like, holy shit, it's fucking Tades from fucking Hot Mulligan. Why?
Are they from like the general area?
No, they're from Michigan.
Oh.
So
that is actually kind of weird.
Yeah, I was real shocked to have seen the dude from Hot Mulligan show up. And then Max Steel, I had known one song from them, and Arm's Length, I knew a couple.
I actually really like Arm's Length.
If you like Arm's Length, you'll probably like Origami. There's
okay.
At least a little bit of similarities in them.
Yeah, because Arm's Length opened for Newfound Glory when they did the Sticks and Stones and self-titled show at the Brooklyn Bowl like 3 years ago.
Okay.
And then I saw them open for someone else. I just don't remember who last year. And like both times they were really good.
But yeah, that show was real fun, and way more people were at that show than the show the night before. Friggin' TLA was packed for the Origami Angel show.
Nice. Yeah, I was surprised it wasn't a little bit more packed for the Real Friends show, but at the same time, like a lot of people did leave after Carly Cosgrove. Like people definitely bought tickets just for them. because they're like the hometown band.
Yep.
I saw that with
even still, there weren't as many people. It wasn't sold out. Like,
true.
Before people left, I wasn't cramped like I was the next night.
Yeah, that's the weird thing with the TLA. Like when that place sells out, like it's a little too crowded.
Yeah,
but it is what it is. Didn't you have Aaron West and the Roaring Twenties?
Yeah, that was the week before.
Oh, was that really 2 weeks ago already?
Yeah, that was the 15th.
Jesus,
that show was amazing. Fucking Dan Campbell makes me cry.
Yeah, dude, I had never heard of them before seeing them open for Grayscale, and like they were super cool to see.
So good. Also, opening at that show was this band Bike Routes, whatever. They're from South Jersey.
Nice.
So the 2 shows I've seen at City Winery, they opened both of them.
That's actually kind of funny.
They're really good. I would also recommend checking out Bike Routes. And real nice kids. Like, when I say kids, I have no idea how old they are. The lead singer looks like he's like 17. He's probably like 24 or something, but
still close enough to being a child,
right? But yeah.
Are you going to state champs next week?
No. When is that?
The Friday of PAX.
Oh no, I'll be at last podcast on the left side stories.
Right. You mentioned that, but you are going to 4 Year Strong, or is your ticket the one that's being sold?
No, I was able to get 2 extra tickets. So,
are you still trying to sell those?
I mean, if somebody needs them, otherwise, if it's you can just have them. But wait, you have other thing or whatever.
Yeah. But I do know somebody that likes them. That I will ask if
let me know
they want to go.
Then the next week I have Side Stories, Streetlight Manifesto, and Cliff Diver all along with PAX.
Oh yeah, you did mention that. Yeah, that's a lot. And then the following week we go to Toronto.
Yep.
For a whirlwind trip.
That'll be fun.
Yeah, that should be a good one. But yeah, I guess that'll do it.
That'll be it.
That's a show.
I think so.
Well, if you would like to find some more of our content, you can head over to www.one-quest.com. You can also help us out by supporting us at patreon.com/onequest. If you can't support us there at dollars, though, you can go to your favorite podcast platform, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify. Rate us, review us, subscribe to us. All of it helps. You can also find us on social media, facebook.com/onequestonline or at @1_quest on Twitter and Instagram. We should probably make a Blue Sky.
We should.
And then
fuck Twitter.
And then stop mentioning Twitter. I'll do that later because you can actually make your own domain in there too. So since we own OneQuest, we can validate OneQuest, and instead of it being like your name.Blue Sky, it's your name.OneQuest.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. But yeah, that's beside the point. YouTube channel, youtube.com/OneQuestVideo, and you can always send us an email to social@one-quest.com. Rich, what is your streaming schedule looking like with this holiday week?
Twitch.tv/B_Walnuts video game streaming Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday. This comes out on Thursday of Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving. I'm most likely not streaming tonight unless I get home early enough to actually want to play some games. Some might play some Monster Hunter, but other than that, I'm doing some Immortals Phoenix Rising, Monster Hunter, and Sea of Thieves are really the rotation right now. So come hang out and check it out.
Nice. Well, with that, we will be back next week with something else to talk about. Thanks for listening. Bye.
See yous.
Bye.